muchas. Yo creo que sí. Rezan para que yo pueda caminar y esta gente me ayude. Mami, te quiere mucho. Mi papi, mi hermano.
She is a girl named Omayra Sánchez, who became the focus of global attention after her photo trapped in the rubble of a building went viral. Omayra Sánchez was trapped in the rubble of a collapsed building for 60 hours after the eruption of the Nevado del Ruiz volcano in Colombia. How did this happen? Why was Omayra trapped for so long, and why wasn't she rescued? This is the story. High in the Colombian Andes stands a sleeping giant, Nevado del Ruiz. Covered in snow and silence, it had been quiet for over a century. But in 1985, it awoke, and brought with it one of the deadliest volcanic disasters of the 20th century. Located in Tolima, Colombia, Nevado del Ruiz had erupted before, in the 16th century, but had remained dormant for generations. By 1985, warning signs began to appear: seismic tremors, rising magma, and minor ash plumes. But the warnings were dismissed. Scientists urged action, local officials delayed. On the night of November 13, 1985, at exactly 9:09 p.m., Nevado del Ruiz erupted violently. The heat from the explosion instantly melted the volcano's glacier cap, sending down 4 deadly lahars, fast-moving rivers of volcanic mud, ash, and debris. They rushed downhill at 60 kilometers per hour, silent and invisible in the night. The town of Armero, located 74 kilometers away, never stood a chance. Within minutes, it was buried beneath 5 meters of mud. Over 23,000 people were killed. Entire families were erased from existence. It became known as the Armero tragedy. In the middle of this apocalyptic scene, one voice rose from the debris. Her name was Omayra Sánchez. 13 years old, her house collapsed around her. Her mother and younger brother survived, but her father and aunt did not, and Omayra herself was trapped. Her legs were pinned under concrete and rubble. Her body was submerged in cold, toxic water. But she was conscious, awake, and heartbreakingly hopeful. For nearly 60 hours, Omayra remained stuck. Volunteers and firefighters tried to free her, but they lacked the right equipment. Every option risked killing her instantly. A decision was made: wait and hope. So, what made Omayra trapped was the debris of the collapsed building that had pierced her body, which caused her to be unable to be lifted up. Because the city was destroyed and the equipment was inadequate as it is now, the rescue team could not free her small body without breaking her legs to lift her up. Various methods were tried, but to no avail, until finally they gave up and took a piece of wood that was placed near Omayra so that she would not drown by holding the wood, and they also had time to give a tire. Then, they deployed divers to be able to see the underwater conditions, and what the rescue team feared at that time happened. The divers said that Omayra's legs were bent and crushed by the rubble, and what was even crazier, her aunt was hugging Omayra's legs, with her aunt's condition already dead and her body was stiff. Throughout it all, Omayra talked. She sang, she prayed, she asked for food, she asked for school exams, she asked about her mother, and she told those around her, again and again, "I want to live." This photo shocked the world. Taken by Frank Fournier, it captured not just a girl, but a nation in anguish. Omayra's calm eyes, blackened hands, and broken body became the face of the disaster. As hours turned to days, Omayra's condition worsened. Her eyes reddened from toxins, her breathing slowed. Still, she spoke until she couldn't.
Rezan para que yo pueda caminar y esta gente me ayude.
On the morning of November 16th, after nearly 60 hours trapped in the ruins of her home, Omayra took her last breath, surrounded by strangers, cameras, and tears. The evacuation process was truly dramatic, like a child still enthusiastic and optimistic about survival. During this time, Omayra Sánchez was comforted by the rescue team, distracting her from painful thoughts. She even sang a song for German Santa Maria Barragan, a journalist and volunteer at the time. Omayra chatted, asked for candy, and even asked the rescue team for a soda as a final request. However, sometimes, when she remembered that her life was short, she would cry, fear, and pray. The volunteers, who witnessed her praying, also cried. Seeing Omayra's fervent struggle for life, the rescuers finally began to search for a solution. However, the most rational option at the time was to amputate her leg, and the doctors agreed. However, on that day, the medical team didn't have the necessary equipment to do so until the next day. Nothing could be done until the next day, and after 2 days, Omayra appeared exhausted and began experiencing loss of consciousness and hallucinations. The equipment was inadequate, and on the 3rd day, a weakened Omayra told reporters, "I don't want to be late for school," referring to a math problem. Then, her eyes turned red, her face swollen, and her hands turned white from being submerged in the water for so long. Her eyes, which had been red, turned black, prompting those watching to cry and try to move the debris. Omayra also told the panicked bystanders to rest. "Just leave me alone, let me die here, you guys rest." Then another team of volunteers arrived with a water pump and tried to drain the standing water. But it was futile. Finally, they all gave up. They had tried everything and with inadequate equipment. They agreed that the more humane thing would be to let Omayra Sánchez die slowly. At that moment, everyone looked desperate and deeply saddened by the thought of letting the little girl die slowly. In her final moments, Omayra Sánchez appeared on a recording saying, "Mom, if you're listening, and I think you are, please pray for me so I can walk and be saved, and so that these people can help me. Mom, I love you, my father and my little brother. Goodbye, Mom." Then, not long afterward, on November 16, 1985, Omayra Sánchez took her last breath, most likely due to hypothermia. From this incident, only his mother and younger brother named Álvaro Enrique Sanchez survived. Colombia mourned, the world raged. How could a child be left to die like that? Why was help so slow? Why weren't rescue teams better equipped? Omayra became more than a victim. She became a symbol of innocence, of courage, of everything that went wrong. This photo by Omayra Sánchez won World Press Photo of the Year in 1986, a publicity stunt that illustrated the Colombian government's failure to respond to a disaster that they had been warned about from the start. When the disaster struck, the evacuation of its citizens was taken lightly and trivially, which ultimately led to the deaths of 20,000 Colombians at the time, and was later recorded as the world's 4th worst volcanic disaster in history. In the aftermath, Colombia pledged reforms: better early warning systems, national disaster response coordination, and stronger volcanic monitoring. Omayra's death wasn't in vain. Her story sparked change, but her face still haunts history. She wanted to live, and through our memory, she still does.
Mami, te quiere mucho, mi papi, mi hermano.
Thank you for watching. This is Dark Point, where shadows speak the truth. Subscribe for more stories that were never meant to be forgotten.